Okay, so here are the best settings for FPS in Chrono Odyssey. This is specifically for the closed beta. So anyways, let's get right into it with our display mode. I am on borderless. This allows me to alt-tab easier. If you're on full screen, sometimes it can lag with the alt-tab. Then graphics quality, obviously custom. Resolution scale, you definitely want it at 100. If you're on a potato laptop, actually sort of like I am right now because I'm currently traveling and away from my home desktop, you can set this down to like 90 or even 80. It will make the game look sort of rough, but if you're desperate, that is the way to get FPS. Moving on to our global illumination, I do think it looks pretty good on medium. You can set it to low again if you need those few extra FPS. I probably will, but I'd say medium for most people is ideal. Shadow detail, you can also turn this up to medium if you want your game to look better and you have the FPS to spare, but I have it on low right now. Anti-alias, you just want on low for sure. Draw distance, medium or low, it depends. I think medium's slightly better, but again, if you need the FPS, you can set it to low. Texture quality, I almost always have this set on high. It doesn't seem to generally affect FPS too much, and it just makes the game, it makes all games look much better. If you're like desperate, you can set it to medium, but I think high is almost always the answer for texture quality. For effects detail, I think low is just fine. Reflection quality, also low. It's one of the first ones to go. Reflections take a lot of processing power. Then we have post-processing quality. I also have that on low. And then TSR for super sampling. You can display FPS if you want, but I have my Steam display up there, so there's no reason really to do that. I have set it capped at 144. Not that my laptop's going to hit that. If you have a higher refresh rate monitor, you can set this higher in the NVIDIA control panel. You just right click on your desktop and then go to your like global settings, and I would set that just to your maximum refresh rate of your monitor. And the reason I would set a maximum frame rate is just because in the past some games, specifically New World, have cooked GPUs because they didn't have like a set frame rate, and it was an NVIDIA problem, but still. Set a max frame rate so you don't cook your own GPU. All right, moving on from here, I didn't change any of these. Motion blur, definitely turn that off though. I don't know how I missed that. And then VSync should be off as well. So moving on from here, we can go to gameplay. I didn't change too much here. I changed my sensitivity down just a bit from 10 to 7 for both the horizontal and vertical. But other than that, I'm pretty sure I left everything pretty much as is. It's pretty solid. You don't want like lock on upon receiving damage to be on, because basically it means that if you're focused on killing something and then something else does damage to you, then you'll switch off of what you were killing. And then, having a bunch of low health enemies is no good. You want to actually finish them off. So this is a terrible, terrible setting. I'm going to assume you're never going to want to turn that on. And then same with the lock on upon landing attack either. I could be wrong with that though, but that's just my first impression of it. Then display crosshair, I have it on auto. You could turn this on to all times if you want, but again, I think that the standard settings are pretty solid except for the sensitivity, at least for me. Oh, and for reference, I have a mouse set at 800 DPI, and then I have about a 1 foot by 1 foot mouse pad. So yeah, huge mouse pad, but I definitely recommend if you're playing games competitively, the bigger the mouse pad, the more precise your movements can be. Language, English, easy peasy. Sound, I didn't change anything here. They're set to 70. It's sort of weird. Master volume's at 100, but all these are set to 70. Not exactly sure what's up with that. They could have just set the master volume down to 70, but anyways, that's fine. If you wanted to play in the background for some reason, you can turn it on here. Controls, I did change a couple things here, and I'm not fully convinced of my control setup yet. I will edit as I play more of the game and probably have an updated guide once, there's future tests and stuff, but I didn't change too much. I changed sprint to caps lock instead of control. I don't generally like control to control, especially on my laptop is super small in the bottom left corner. It's just not easy to hit. Caps lock is a lot easier, and it's just natural for the pinky to hit. I changed map from M to the tilde key. M is like super far away, and generally in MMOs, you're going to want to be opening your map quite a bit. So M is just no bueno. But other than that, I think everything is pretty solid. Eventually, I may change some of the skills to my mouse buttons. I think that generally is a lot more efficient use of your fingers, and going up to hit like 7 or 8 is super rough. I'd say that 6 is like the max you'd want a hotkey set to. And yeah, everything else is pretty solid. I haven't gotten into PvP yet, but I think N is probably a terrible key for that, and I'll probably move it closer as well eventually. So anyways, moving on from there, nothing in community. Notifications are all turned on. Eventually, if you're like in PvP, you may want to change those to off or whatever, but I think when you're going through the tutorials and stuff, that's totally fine. So anyways, that is just a quick settings guide on what I think the best settings are. I will have updated guides as I play through more and future tests come along. I just wanted to make a quick one for the closed beta. So anyways, I hope you all found this helpful. I will be covering Chrono Odyssey quite in depth, I would assume, unless like something catastrophic happens or like a new or different game that I'd rather cover comes out. But I do think that I will probably be covering this game. I really enjoyed it when I played Throne of Liberty. It was a ton of fun, even if it didn't last forever. I made a ton of guides on Throne of Liberty. You can check them out. They're some of my most viewed videos. So I love covering MMOs. It's like one of my favorite things to do. And I'm super excited whenever they come out. I'm super excited for this game. So feel free to subscribe to catch my future guides. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.